Tactical for Firing Off With, and today we have Coach Gary Nelson of the Southside Panthers in. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, doing great.
Always a pleasure to have you in. We've had you on the show before, and we got to know you when you took the job from Montgomery when I came and visited you before you came up here to Southside. And since that time, a lot's changed. But before we dive into that and how you've turned the Southside Panthers around from the inside out, let's talk about your background a little bit and what led you to come here to Southside, Alabama, and become the head coach.
Absolutely. So, we were, my wife and I, we have two young children, and we were actually very happy with where we were professionally. I love being at Montgomery Academy. I love being a football coach there, and we had really good players. They're having a great year. So we really weren't looking to leave so much as we were just looking to start a new chapter and be in a place that was, we really felt like was the perfect fit for our family. And we really felt like God led us to Southside. I remember the morning I came over on my interview. I remember the day that I rode over this bridge for the first time and just looked out over Rainbow Landing, and it's just a beautiful place to be. And so we were really looking for a place that was the right fit for our family, and we found that in Southside. And it's really become a great place for us. We love being here. We love the community and how supportive they are, and really we love the players that we get to coach. So, it's just been a tremendous experience, and, to think about everything that's happened since I first met you, man, it's been a whirlwind with COVID and playing a full football season, and, everything that's happened. It's definitely been something that is I'll never forget. I will never forget the year that I moved to Southside and the season that we've had for a variety of reasons.
Coach, the culture when you got here was down at Southside. We had those guys on last year, and we have since we started. There's been a massive change in culture and attitude and everything with the program. Essentially, you took a 2-8 team last year in 5A, went to 6A when literally the outside, the media, and a lot of people were saying that these guys ain't going to win a game in 6A. And now here you are sitting with a playoff berth. You've had 2 losses by 1 point. All right, and honestly, it's been a complete change from inside out. In your words, how did this happen, and how did we get to where we are today with Southside football?
I think that's really interesting to me. I think I had the benefit of being an outsider in that I didn't know Southside was supposed to not win any games. I came in from the standpoint of, okay, here are the players that we have. Here are the things that we think they can do. Now, if we can teach them to be competitors and we can grow their character and get them to make better decisions and get them to believe in one another and have each other's backs, that maybe we can start to turn this thing around. And so, it's funny you use the word culture, because that's really where it starts, is that we wanted to develop the locker room and from there maybe develop a football team. So we really, hit the ground running at the very beginning with, working on developing our culture and developing our habits and our attitudes. And really that's what we spent the most time on. And I think that what happened is our kids were hungry. They were ready. They'd heard that narrative, and they were ready to prove some people wrong. And so, I kind of had the benefit of coming in with a fresh perspective and seeing some guys for the very first time, getting a chance to evaluate their skills for the very first time. And I think at the same time, those guys were hungry and were probably doing a little more than they'd been doing. And I think that it really just kind of became the perfect fit, and we really gelled together. And I've had a great year. I think we're, obviously we have a couple games there where, if we could have, converted a 2-point play, we, might be sitting here 8-1. Of course, we've won 3 one-score games too, so we could easily be sitting here 3-6. So, it's always easy to say, well, if all the one-score ones went our way, well, they go both ways. So, I'm proud of our kids for the games we've won. I'm proud of our kids for the way that we've handled ourselves when we've lost. That they've just been a fun group to get to coach, and it's really been an honor to get to be here. We got some of the best kids I've coached. will be the kids that I've coached in 2020. They've been phenomenal players and better people, and it's just been a blessing to get to know them.
You know, you mentioned Montgomery Academy, your former team. They're currently sitting at 8-0. This is a program that was built, you know, you know, in other words, I always judge, you know, teams and programs on how good they do after they left.
Sure.
And your former team sitting here at 8-0 right now, and I have no doubt in my mind you got a large part to do with that and to start that culture rolling. I think you're establishing that same thing here at Southside. Can you talk about, you know, from the inside out? I mean, how do you start that? You know, laying it brick by brick and getting that foundation built.
No, I think that's a great point, and you know, I'm a real dork for leadership. You know, I do a lot of reading about you know, entrepreneurship and people who lead companies and all that sort of stuff. And you know, I think that it applies in the business world. It applies in coaching. You know, sound leadership principles just apply across the board. And you know, I remember reading a book a while back that a lot of people read, Good to Great, and you know, what that talks about is that, you know, somebody who comes in as a leader and they're just a big personality, you know, sometimes they can do well while they're there, and then if they leave, it just sort of flames out. And you know, it's really because they built the house on sand. And so, you know, one of the things that we try to do is exactly what you describe, is it's building it brick by brick. You know, and I think the way that you do that in the world of education and in athletics is to just really invest in young people. And so, you know, one of the things that we try to do is to do our best to have a relationship with our players and to try to pour into them, to remind them that there's a lot of good in them. You know, and I think that if you do that enough, they start to believe that, they start to hear that messaging, you know, and they really come to believe that they really can be successful, you know. Now, I'll say this about the kids at Montgomery Academy, you know, they were going to be good this year. They've got great players. You know, they hired a great coach in Robert Johnson, who's done a phenomenal job. He's a friend of mine. You know, before I actually announced I was leaving, I called him and said, hey, man, you need to come take this thing, because I really thought he'd do well. And really, I thought he could get that program over the hump in some ways I couldn't. He went to school there and had some knowledge of it in a way that's a little different than my knowledge. And I thought his perspective was maybe something we were missing a little bit, and was really confident he could take it over the hump, and he has, so credit to him. You know, but even, you know, in looking at this thing here, I mean, you know, if I were to walk out and leave Southside tomorrow, right, I hope that the program is better now than it was when I started here. And I'm not leaving Southside tomorrow, by the way, but, you know, I think that, you know, in doing that, right, what you're really trying to do is, you know, the strength of the program is the strength of all participants in it, right? And so it can't just be about, you know, what did I do? But my hope is that our coaches coach at a little higher level, and our players played a little at a higher level, and our volunteer base is stronger, and our community support is stronger, and you know, all those things feed off of one another, and you know, that's what we've been able to get accomplished. And so, you know, it may be that having me there sort of was a catalyst to get some folks who, you know, were maybe sitting there ready to invest to get over the hump and say, hey, let's go do this. And I really think that's what's happened. And so, you know, it's certainly not just, you know, what have I done to, you know, get it going. It's really, you know, the strengths were already there. Everything we needed to have the season we're having was already in place. You know, I didn't bring in a player. I didn't bring in any coaches. So, you know, everything we needed was all already right there. And I just think that, you know, we needed some belief, and we needed that investment in personal relationships. And, you know, really credit to our kids and our community for being receiving of that, and you know, really proud of it.
Coach, you know, you mentioned the coaches that were already in place. Talk about your mindset as you took this job, knowing that you were also going to have to kind of coach the coaches to get them on board with your plan in a place that you've never been in. Honestly, you probably met them when you came up here for the first time. And
sure.
Talk about that and how you got that message over to be so successful like it has. Some of those are some good coaches, but you had to get your mindset and your strategy into it.
Yeah, so I think that was really an interesting challenge, because we've got great coaches, and what you really wanted to do was figure out what could the coaches do well, and let them have the freedom and the responsibility to do the things that they do well, and then maybe what are some areas that we did need to make some changes and sort of get them to, you know, maybe reverse course in certain areas. And so you really had to sort of weld those two things together. So it really took inventorying what is going well, what have we done well, and in the things that have gone well, leave them. And then in the areas where we need to make some improvements, how do we go in and do that? Now, I will always be grateful to our coaches for the way that they've accepted me. They very easily could have built walls and resisted some of the things that I wanted to do, but at the end of the day, they care a lot about our kids. And I think that they saw pretty early on that I care about our kids too, and that I was here because I wanted to build relationships with kids. And so they tore down any walls pretty early and said, hey, let's come together and see what we can do to move this thing forward. So that was really important. I think the second thing too, I remember sitting down with them the first day, and I'll never forget telling them that I needed them to be the experts on Southside. Maybe I can come in with knowledge of a certain offense or defense or something that we want to do, but I don't know our kids in the way y'all do. So I need y'all to give me all the knowledge you have about our kids. Tell me the things you think they can do well. Tell me the areas they need to get better. What do they struggle with? And hopefully I can learn from y'all, and then over the course of time be able to augment those kids' strengths and weaknesses in such a way that allows them to move forward. And so that's really what we did. And I still lean on those guys. I'll shoot them a message and say, hey, what's going on with this guy? And because they've got a little more history on the kid than me, they're able to maybe give me their insight, and then I'm able to sort of take my own insights and hopefully go do something that helps a player get better and helps him improve and helps him continue to grow. So it's just really been a blessing to have, the number of coaches we do, the quality of coaches we do. They do a great job with our players, and do a great job in the game plan and in making suggestions. And in fact, just last week we put a little wrinkle in offensively that was just based on changing one thing in a mechanic that we had Michael doing off of a play fake. And I didn't have that idea. That was Robbie Davis and Ray Cargill kind of came up with the best way to get the ball down the field to our receivers. And without making that little adjustment, I don't know if we had the success offensively we did against Scottsboro. So, it's a combination of, having those coaches accept me and then me being willing to accept them and their ideas and things as well. And, they really do a great job. And so it's been fun to get to know them and fun to work with them.
As this season's drawn on and you've clinched the playoff berth now, which, by the way, congratulations on that. What's your idea of, you always want to peak before you go into the playoffs, and right now you guys are sitting on the off week, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what are you going to work on this off week to kind of, I know a lot of teams turn inward on off weeks to work on themselves.
Yes.
What are some of the things you're going to work on with an off week this late in the season and a rival coming up right behind you?
Yeah, interesting challenge, right? I've never had an off week in the second to last week of the season. So there's not a playbook for this, right? Like, it's definitely an interesting challenge. I think it heightens the importance of working on getting their legs back under them some. If you got a bye week in week 2, they're still pretty fresh, so you can work on yourself in more of a spring training type fashion where you're getting physical and you're getting after it, versus if you have an off week later in the year and you still got some stuff to play for, you probably better work to stay healthy and get some guys feeling better and all that. So we've really wanted to, sort of balance getting better with, getting some guys healthy and getting them back so we can, make this push with the Etowah game and a playoff game coming up. So that's been a challenge. And then in terms of, what we want to work on, we're still a very young program at the end of the day. I mean, you look at the numbers that Michael Rich has put up, he's been phenomenal. But really, it's like starting a freshman in some ways because he's been in our offense since July, and you look at what he's accomplished and you're like, and look, I tell people all the time, man, if I had this dude for 4 years, I'd love to see what he could have done just in terms of his knowledge of the offense, and the same with all of our receivers and our linemen and everybody. And so, we're really at a point right now where the cart got put so far before the horse in terms of our development that, we got a lot of guys who are, who play a lot for us and really don't have a tremendous detailed understanding of their role and their responsibility. But it's just, we got to go. We've had to play. And so, we're trying to take this time to get a little more detailed in our understanding of some things, and at the same time rest up and get healthy. So, yeah, definitely a weird time to have a bye week, but we're grateful to get to go undefeated this week.
That's true. Coach, I'm going to close with this right here. What are you most proud of at this point with this group of young men? Just from the mindset, and when I tell you it's a complete change in attitudes, everything, because we've been around these kids now for 3 years and covering them. What are you most proud of when you hear people from the outside, such as us, say things like that about your program?
I think it's our kids deserve to have some success. We have great kids. Our seniors are, really some of the most coachable, dedicated players that I've had the privilege of coaching. And so for them to get to have some success, first of all, makes me awfully proud of them. But in terms of the feeling that it gives me to hear people speak favorably about our players and coaches, I'm just awfully proud of everybody. And it's not any one play or any one player or anything that's happened in the course of the season. It's just at some point, I remember the first day I met them in the auditorium at the high school there, and the way that they carried themselves, their body language, their skepticism. They're probably wondering, who's this guy and why is his name Gary? And then, to kind of get from there to where those guys believe, man. And you see them, take the ball down the field against Fort Payne and score, or you see them last week against Scottsboro, take it down with 41 seconds in the first half and push one in before halftime that really was a dagger in that game. They've just never stopped believing. So it's like, it's almost like they always knew they had something special. They needed somebody to believe it as much as they did. And I'm just proud that they let me coach them. I'm proud that they listen to what we say. We got a lot of guys who care deeply about Southside football, and really that's what if you could bottle something up and put it inside of the perfect football player, I think the first two things I'd put is a deep care for where he plays, and then coachability. That's the first two things I'd put inside of a guy, and we got a bunch of them who really fit that criteria. So I'm just, man, it's just. I can go all day about how proud I am of those guys and how much I love them. It's just been an honor to get to coach them, and I'm as proud as I can be for them and the success they're having.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate you coming in with us here at Jared's Tactical Rainbow City. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and Jared's always a great guy to bring great guests like this in. And
yeah, if I could say for a second, man, this is a great place to hang out.
If the zombies come, Coach, we're going to come over here and hang out with Jared.
Well, look, in addition to, obviously, there's a big piece of that tactical piece there. You just look around the walls. It's got like everything you need in here, whether you're a hunter, whether you're just a recreational shooter, but also your camping stuff. I had no idea that it was this involved. It's a really great place, and hopefully some people will come by and check it out.
One thing he did to start this off, how this started, is he and I talked, and I kept telling him we had so many players on the show talk about hunting trips. So Jared started our relationship off by sending me Matt Sims, who's like a 5-time placed in the world in shooting, and he's also an NRA instructor.
Nice.
On firearms. So we did a firearm safety, and Jared set that up for us for all our kids to go hunting and talk about it and every Monday on the preview show.
That's awesome.
Put that out. That's what started our relationship with Jared's here. So it is fantastic, and he does have a beautiful story, no doubt. And if the zombies come, we're coming to hang out.
Absolutely. And look, if I had to pick a place to camp out in the zombie apocalypse, I'd be right here, right across from Rainbow Landing.
That's right.
Jared's Tactical having my back. It's a perfect place to be.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you so much, and love having you on, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you.